you're talking about proper goal scorers, they seem to always be lucky, in inverted commas, because they're in the right place at the right time. So he dropped deep, he was the false nine, he laid it out wide, he's tried to get him behind. It was almost within that one bit of movement that led to the goal, showed exactly why he's such a class player. And remember the scoreline here, Adam, 1-0. You know, as well as West Ham played, they're going home and losing now. Remember Ruud Gullit used to say to us at Chelsea, I just want you to do two things in a game that can affect the game. Well, it was one of those games where someone needed to do one thing in a game and affect the game. He did that, and he did that with a little bit of everything, playing a false nine, getting in behind, and then being in the right place at the right time. So congratulations to him. Luis Diaz has come in, he's put pressure on him, he's put pressure on Salah. You know, and the contract details is going to be interesting. Of course, Liverpool, I feel, can't afford to lose Mo Salah. But you have to say that Luis Diaz has come in with all the attacking talent they've got now, Liverpool. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, Liverpool have got that attacking talent where they can turn around and say, look, Mo, you know, we can only offer you £400,000 a week instead of $500,000.
Yeah, Brad, where do you stand on the Mo Salah contract situation since Scott brought it up? And it is a very pertinent point.
Every club's going to have a breaking point. Every club's going to have a ceiling. Some club ceilings are much higher. I think they're going to do everything possible to try to sign him. I don't think there's much in it. I don't think they've signed Luis Diaz because he's similar to Mo Salah in case they can't re-sign him. You know, we talk about Mane being in a similar position on the pitch as Diaz, but Mane doesn't get the ball 60 yards from goal and sprint at defenders and like Luis Diaz is. He's a different type of spectacular that has been added to this Liverpool team. I think that Liverpool, I mean, maybe I'm putting my Liverpool heart and hat on here. I think Liverpool will eventually be able to sign Mo Salah. And I think in Jurgen Klopp's mind, they are trying to figure out systems where players can play with Salah and with Mane as opposed to what if we lose them. So Jurgen Klopp strikes me as a player's manager. He strikes me as someone the players are going to want to play for. And when it comes down to it, sometimes the grass just simply isn't greener somewhere else. And I truly believe that Mo Salah will understand that and sign his contract.
I knew there was a reason why.
Yeah, Adam, can I just say as well?
Yes.
Sorry, Adam, just off the back of that as well. I mean, you're right to say that Mane hasn't been quite the same in terms of numbers of the last couple of seasons. You can say the same about Firmino as well. Luis Diaz has come in and done fantastic, but there's been one standout player over the last 3 or 4 seasons in terms of scoring goals and turning games for Liverpool, and that is Mo Salah. And he quite simply, I feel he has to be signed. But also, where did he go? You know, I mean, tell me a team that's better than Liverpool right now if it's not Manchester City. I don't think there's another team in Europe that can match his ambitions in terms of winning titles and winning Champions League as well. Barcelona's not the same. Real Madrid's a million miles off where it used to be. You know, PSG's still chasing its first Champions League title. Bayern Munich, not quite the team that they were in terms of strength, but they'll probably go and win the Bundesliga. Any move for me would be a downwards move. So I do think that they will find a way. He knows he's in full control because of his numbers, because of how well he's playing. And he probably is the best player in the world right now. But I do think it's almost a thing where Liverpool will turn around and say, look, we can't afford whatever your agent's asking for, but we'll go to this. And I just feel that there will be a compromise between the two, because I can't think of Liverpool without Salah. I can't think of Salah without Liverpool. They both need each other.
Just as on a human level here, Brad, and you said that you have your Liverpool heart in some parts of the conversation, which is why you're wearing the red glasses. Very striking, I should add as well. But when you give a player an extraordinary amount of cash, can that have a disruptive influence on the dressing room? Could other players, say Mane, say, well, he's getting X amount. What about me? I want a pay rise, maybe not as much as him, but I think I deserve more if Salah's on that much. I mean, that's just an example. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but can it potentially have an adverse effect?
It can, but I don't think in this case it would, and as long as Mo Salah keeps producing the numbers. Scott touched on it. The one consistent assist, the one consistent goals over the last few seasons has been Mo Salah. Players know who's producing. When I was playing as a goalkeeper, I knew what center backs I wanted in front of me. The center backs knew which midfielders they wanted in front of them. The midfielders knew which strikers they wanted. The fans know which strikers they want on the field. It's no secret right now that Mo Salah is the best of that group going forward. Can somebody else overtake him? Sure, that's what sport's all about. But right now, Mo Salah is the one. So Mo Salah right now, every single player in Liverpool's changing room knows that Mo Salah is likely, and probably deservedly so, the highest paid player. If someone doesn't like that, that's maybe the player that you should look to be getting out of the club, because that might be the player that can disrupt the club. I don't think Mo Salah, trying to get as much money as he possibly can is wrong in this instance, but I agree with Scott. I think there will be a compromise. I'm hoping there will be a compromise. And I also agree with Scott. Mo Salah went to a club already where he had a big club where he had his struggles and had his troubles. This is why I said my comment about grass isn't always greener. He already knows that from his time at Chelsea. So I think he has found his home. He's well within his right to try to get as much money in his new contract as possible. But I do think he's going to know this is where he loves. This is where the club loves him. This is where the fans love him. And on top of all that, Liverpool Football Club could potentially win every competition they enter into for the next few years, because Jurgen Klopp has created such a good squad and such good camaraderie within the club.
Okay. I want an answer from both of you for this. I'm going to come to Scott first. What's the pecking order for the front three right now at Liverpool Football Club? Scott? It's a hard one, I know.
It is. I don't think anything's changed from what I said pre-match. Salah has to play. He's on the right. I think Luis Diaz has been an absolute revelation since he's come in and hit the ground running as if he, has been a Liverpool player for years. And I think he was superb again today. So I'd play him. And Mane he's done what he's done today. I think Firmino hasn't been quite the player in the last couple of seasons. I think Diogo Jota can count himself unlucky if he doesn't start, because he's been superb since he's come for Wolves. But I just feel that front three, if everyone's fit, then I would probably go with them. And as I said before, again, Mane would be that kind of false nine, what we saw today. He made the difference today. But if it doesn't quite work, it's not about making a substitution straight away. It's about, be fluid at the front three. Make the back four or back three, whoever you're playing against, swap over. Be dangerous in that sense. So the defenders never quite know who you're picking up. So for me, I'd go for those three. But again, when you've got the kind of firepower coming off the bench, we saw Salah being taken off and he wasn't happy, but I think that's a compliment to Luis Diaz, and I think that shows how well Luis Diaz is playing at the moment, that actually, as much as Salah, even if he's out the game for a period of time, can produce that one bit of magic, that Jurgen Klopp is able to say, right, I'm going to sacrifice that because I think Luis Diaz can produce that, and then we want to make that substitution where someone else can come on and make a difference. So it's a bit of a long-winded answer, Adam, but the short answer is Salah on the right, Diaz on the left, and Mane down the middle playing like a false nine, but also going in behind at times as well.
Okay, Brad, your answer here. I'm going to throw in Origi. Of course, he's on the bench today. Minamino, who actually has a very good minutes-to-goal ratio due to the lack of game time and the amount of goals that he's scored. They're all potential names. What's your pecking order for the front three?
I'll be far more short-winded on this. It's Salah on the right, Mane as the 9. And I go by exactly what I said before the game as well. You flip a coin between Jota and Luis Diaz. I don't think you miss anything. I think possibly if you're going to play in a game that you think there's going to be a little bit more transition and you need someone to carry the ball on their own a little bit more, it might be Diaz. If it's a team that's going to sit back and you need to unlock an opposition a little bit more, you play Jota. But I don't think you miss anything by playing either of those two along with Mane and Salah.
Before we hear from a player or two in just a moment, I need to bring this up because the amount of options we're talking about the front three, there's been a lot said about Liverpool's squad this season, particularly in comparison to last season where they were ravaged by injury. I can't think of a better time for Jurgen Klopp when it comes to squad depth. Now, Manchester City are very much the benchmark, but how close are Liverpool to matching that, Scott? Because if you look across the pitch from the goalkeeper, Kelleher, he's been a revelation whenever he's given a chance and he's lifted a trophy. And, of course, Alisson is there. And then you got Tsimikas, Robertson, you've got Matip, Van Dijk, of course, Konate, Joe Gomez is still there. And you look at the multitude of options they have in the midfield, and we've already talked about the front three. How close are they now to City's squad depth?
Yeah, and you haven't even mentioned Thiago there as well, who I think is just a wonderful midfielder, and I think he's been unfairly criticised since he's come to the club, because I do think he adds that little bit extra that the Liverpool midfield don't have. I think they're very close. I think they're extremely close, and that's been the worry. Even the season they won the title, just everything seemed to go for them, and they managed games, even though I don't think they actually played as well as they did the previous season, where they lost by a point. But it was always that dangerous if the front three get injured, if one or two of the front three get injured. How are Liverpool going to cope with that? I actually think they can cope with that now, and even if Salah's injured for a period of time, there might not be quite the same amounts of goals, but I still think there's the same amount of creating chances and therefore, assists and goals off the back of that. I think they're very, very close to Manchester City now, and I think we've got a great title race. I think we've also got a great title race for the next 2 or 3 seasons. From a Chelsea point of view, with my Chelsea hat on, I'm disappointed with the season they've had. I expected it to be a 3-horse race, but I do genuinely think Liverpool are back. And I think if you look at what they did when they won the title, the first title in 30 seasons, they want to win that back. They want to win it again. They want to win it back to back. They want to be champions of England and then go again with the Champions League. Yes, of course, they want to try and win the quadruple. Yes, of course, they want to try and win the Champions League. But I think the bread and butter, especially when you're coming up against a team like Manchester City and Chelsea as well, is about the Premier League. And I think they are very, very close. And we've got an incredible title race for the next 3 or 4 seasons. I hope both managers stay in place for a very long time.
Well, that's something very interesting to pick up later on, given the comments Jurgen Klopp made about his Liverpool contract, that he will definitely be leaving. But maybe we'll discuss that later on. It expires in 2024, by the way. Brad, what do you think about the squad depth from Liverpool in competition with Manchester City?
Completely level. I think both the squads are tremendous. I think both the managers are tremendous. And actually, the momentum has flip-flopped a little bit, because Liverpool were many points behind and they've clawed it back to where they beat Man City. They go level on points. They've lifted a trophy. Man City hasn't. So the momentum has shifted a little bit. But both these teams are so good. And Man City, when they play teams, the possession they have and the amount of chances they create, incredible. With Liverpool, the way that they can annihilate teams in transition. And that's where I think Liverpool, when they play Man City, can beat Man City is on the transition. When they do dispossess Man City of the ball, then they can hit them on the break. But I think both the squads are equal at this moment in time.
Equal. Wow. Okay.